Slaves need masters, masters need lies. By yours truly, consciousness part of. In order for someone to be a slayer of truth, a slave, one must worship a master of lies first. It is the purest male violence, intent, malevolence, male violence, intent from a Luciferian intent that corrupts the innocence of a child, where the CH is now pronounced K, to become the killed of creation versus its most precious creation, child of creation, as we understand that sound in its most literal allowance. It's as simple as luring a child in the same way a serial killer pedophilic psychopath does with candy, where this candy took on the form of an allegorical apple in one ancient version of this very modern dilemma. Humanity, in its purest form, was just such a child, lured into the pits of hell where the natural order of creation was usurped. What we are dealing with are the remnants of the few dark aspects or entities that subverted humanity in the past, where their only trick left, and only one they ever had, was and is deception. We've been programmed by lies of past, present, and future, and duped into continually enslaving ourselves by buying into the boogeyman illusion. The boogeyman is the enemy someone told you exists, that we create by accepting these lies as truth, because our natural tendency is truth, and we can't imagine anyone or anything that evil. Well, imagine this. The world around you today. It doesn't take much of an imagination to see this planet teeming with boogeymen, hidden terrorists, and all manner of scary monsters you've been taught to believe was under your bed. This is as simple to prove as have a look around you. Yet humanity, in its infinite wisdom, sees fit to keep empowering the very masters of lies that are consuming them, where forgiveness is the order of the day. They'll say things like, "Don't worry, the next leader will be different." And we'll vote for them instead, only to see their insanity manifest in the same way that trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, lays bare the epitome of insanity of a child that keeps coming back, hoping it won't get beaten or raped again by their pedophilic, worshipping masters, which takes on both male and female forms. How many times do people have to repeat these insane cycles before they wake up to their own insanity and realize that it is they that are empowering this evil through their blissful ignorance, being contented with toys just like any other child? This is the best way to show how our own compassion is both our greatest strength and our greatest weakness. You will understand the balance point when you realize that some of these psychopaths in uniform, robes, and political neckties, noose, must be left to their own destruction in the same way that a horse with 4 broken legs must be put out of its misery and suffering, where that truly is the only compassionate thing left for one to do. One who truly knows love can understand this concept. When one expects a liar to change, one hasn't fully accepted what a liar is, where this compulsion to lie is fully ingrained and integrated into the core of their very being. This is the point of no return, because truth is merely subjective, where the lie is the objective to feed this compulsion. Think of your typical cop steroid methadone user or crack addict, and you'll see the level of addiction these dark horses with 4 broken legs have, and so very few, if any, ever fully recover. The ones that do will have their inner strength of soul to accomplish this, or they simply continue on that path until they ultimately destroy themselves. But that's not my concern. My concern rests in wiping out the paths and swaths of destruction these malevolent entities caused to satiate their blood and violence lusts. They are easy to spot as well. They are the ones addicted to power, as it was, quote, given, unquote, to them by someone who somehow had the, quote, unquote, power to do that in the first place. They're the ones that, when confronted with blatant truths, continue in their program to control and harm ways. The system of dark horse control has been given more than enough time and benevolence, where so many of us have exposed the slavery of those deepest inside the walls and halls of system illusion, where this simply exposes them even further when they continue, even knowing the corruption they serve. I've lost count of people I have contacted directly, including the biggest robed illusionists, but they're content to continue, as the rapists of truth and humanity they are. But truly, they aren't the real problem here. It's the ones who empower them to continue by worshiping their money idols, their false robes, and vaulting their power into them, yet they wonder why the world is in such a messed up way. Well, it's easy. Take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, how much energy are you feeding these parasites, and is that okay with you? That is the real question, and the real problem, because without you, these dark horses can't live and breed to continue feeding on you and the rest of humanity. That is the scale of the issue at hand, where each and every one of us is responsible for each and every one of us equally. Well, that might sound a bit far-fetched in that how can one be so responsible for all humanity where I am but one of all humanity? The answer becomes clear when you finally realize that we are all one consciousness called humanity, reality, and what one does to one does to all. One lie to one is one lie to all in that consciousness. Yes, that's a heady statement, but I have found it to be true in the mirror of what I have seen, that which separates humanity in the first place, and that is lies. This is where the crutch of ignorance comes into play with statements like, I don't know, or I didn't mean to do that. And this is where intention of free will choice separates the dark horses from the white ones. It's as simple as calling a cop agency that professes to police criminal cops but refuses to do it lest their own criminality be exposed, and this is exactly what I've done with numerous agencies of this vile control system all around this planet. I'm not saying these are genuinely evil people, where some definitely are. What I am illustrating here is the power of the boogeyman program, which is pure insanity, where we are and always were meant to be immortal beings, not these dead flesh copies. We are dealing with so many entities that are in terror of their own wrongdoings and are now at the final point of all debts to be settled, as per your works, where full responsibility comes home to roost. Thus, an ibiuru, mibaru, a world for everyone's tastes and works. You choose. The day of reckoning is at hand, and we're going through the final sorting stages of what you have earned as per your works, and that works in both directions. Just depends in which direction you're walking. A path of truth or a pack of liars. Be assured the liars will do their utmost to block the truth and those walking in it, but the truth is they've never had the power to do that anyway. Merely deceive others into thinking truth is their version or version of it. Truth has no versions, it simply is, where we have been caught up in so many lies that we moved from our hearts and into our heads, where thoughts can be manipulated. Thus the heart as well, as a result. When we choose to be in our heart mind, doing what is right because it feels right, even though it defies every program these liars have ever tossed at us, it always returns to our own mirrors and the choices we make to support or destroy this evil control system of slavery, both from within and without. It is easy to see how programmed and ego-bound those that serve this beast are, and the acts of harm they intend and do on others based on the ignorance of their own situations and the delusions of grandeur that makes them think they are greater than others based on the costumes they wear. What is even more delusional is the fact that people buy into this lie that only reinforces the delusions of both. Sheer insanity. Imagine telling everyone your job was to arrest criminal cops when the truth is, your only job is to provide enough of an illusion to yourself and others that you're doing that. But the truth is, you're as criminal as the criminal cops you claim to investigate. That's only because you know the real truth, and the real truth is you're a liar, just like every other thug or street criminal, and even more so due to some high and mighty claim that is pure bullshit, and you're violating your own honor and soul. A dirty cop is the filthiest parasite of all, and my, oh my, are the stories coming out now. Perhaps I'm just weary of liars, where calling them out now is the only purpose I can see is worthwhile. The fundamental bottom line is, where are you in your own mirror? Is this a world you can tolerate and allow to continue, where every child that suffers is yours to accept responsibility for? This is a tough cookie for most people in that they can't imagine how little old them can do anything to change things. And my first response is to tell them to stop empowering the people and their vile system to continue perpetuating this cosmic slave camp. That's usually where the sparks fly, because in the defining instant of this undeniable truth, every responsibility comes into spiritual view. So don't be surprised. Simply walk away, leaving that monkey to play in their circus of illusions, and just know that this little monkey wrecks their false three-ring circus. Let's say it steals the show. Tell someone they're a slave to the system and Darkonic masters, and they'll yap at you up to the point that you confirm their slavery for them, and that's as simple as one government check. Now, as far as I know, LOL, every cop, judge, and crown agent gets a government check of one kind or another, so who's their boss? An illusional crown corporation that has been set up as a shell corporation to rob humanity blind via soul and body fraud. That's who. However, the one fundamental that people cannot get past is so incredibly simple. They will justify their lies to the bitter end. The one fundamental truth that people cannot accept, is that greed is their true master. It controls their every choice to possess more and more of the physical matter in the illusion of false power, somehow thinking that the more they have and lust for, the more authority they have. This lie has been sold to the masses in the guise of competition, which is just a polite way of saying being a parasite of your fellow man is fashionable. This greed destroys all spiritual realities, dead in the water. It tears families apart. It festers like a pus-filled sore in marriages, creating the illusion of haves and have-nots, where one is deemed unworthy of opinion without the whore's filthy lucre called moon eye. Don't forget that one of the ancient names for the moon is sin, and thine eye certainly does offend thee. Wars and murder are created at the behest of this resource, physical greed, where bombing a population into the Stone Age is justified to gain the resources, and the monkeys of humanity think that's okay and justifiable too. Our young would-be murderers enlist in droves based on the lies of some controlling principality worshipping a flag I am unworthy to mop the floors of hell itself with, and they do it in a state of psychopathic patriotic glee, totally unaware of the fact that murder is murder, regardless of clown suit or rank. This need for greed drives people into their slave graves, completely unfulfilled and oblivious to ever having lived at all, and are simply recycled back into the matrix to keep doing this until they awaken or decay into non-existence. They grovel at the parasite's feet, seeking their degrees, their diplomas, and all manner of illusional power and authority. They will stab each other in the back as a means to have a ladder to climb up over anyone who gets in their way in the pursuit of material possessions, and are truly possessed of these demons. They will lie, cheat, steal, swindle, trick, deceive, and literally kill each other in this sociopathic community to destroy your lust. They don uniforms of feigned authority and obey only the laws that suit their needs, regardless of what is right, true, and decent, and will puff up their chest like some lunatic peacock out to get whatever it can steal and get away with it. It's easy to justify this when one has the aid of their fellow uniformed thieves and liars to lie right alongside with them. These are the truly lost souls, ruled by greed and lust of this false world so distant from our natural benevolent state of being. These are the Nicodemuses of our times, and these parasites are the vastness of humanity. And then there are those of us that expose this and become the object of this competitive parasitical hatred from those so trapped in the matrix they even know they're in it, where exposure of this places them in complete responsibility of their actions of hatred and harm. In short, liars and thieves don't like being caught, and they will lie to infinite levels to discredit and distort their crimes against humanity, where humanity is also trapped in the greed matrix, so they buy it because that too justifies their own greed. There we have the serpents eating their own tails in revolving door fashion, never able to accept their own responsibility for the harms they bring upon themselves and those they claim to love. Even the concept of love is false, based on a physical infatuation of greed to have a wealthier or better-looking partner like everything and everyone is their prize to claim and show off, all the while being a slave to the true master, which is their own greed. This planet operates on two emotions specifically, and it's easy to spot. The emotions used to rule the sleeping masses are fear and greed, where the real fear is the loss of possessions, again reinforcing the circular trap of greed in constant manifestation. This is the real master of the slaves commonly called humanity, and as the saying goes, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. When one is taught enough literal nonsense and bullshit to feel like they have knowledge, they are close to impossible to awaken because their illusion makes them think they're smart, and the truth is they're only duping themselves, living in a pseudo-reality created for them by another and kept in place with those two simple emotions. Sheer fucking madness of the sickest order. Those that humanity claims to be their leaders and authorities are the most illusional parasites of all, and people worship them based on this program of fear and greed that was masterfully instilled in them. Religious leaders are amongst the most delusional, thinking that pomp and ceremony, ritual and robes somehow garners them an authority where all they're doing is regurgitating all the lies instilled in their former leaders in the cults of scribes and Pharisees. And as far as I recall, certain masters of old warned us of these parasites, and humanity will rape, murder, pillage, and steal when one of these psychos has a whim to do so. These are some really fucking scary parasites and literal soul vampires. Again, what can one expect from a thief, liar, and a parasite? Why would anyone be surprised at seeing what they do best, which is to lie, cheat, and steal, as all parasites do? Yet people react as if that's somehow not normal. Indeed, it is not my normal, so I simply accept the fact that this is what they do, fully expect it, and simply never allow them to return what is stolen. They owe that to consciousness itself, not me. That makes it a little more difficult for a thief and a liar to think they got away with something. The truth is, they did, and that's their possession now, not yours. Let it go. Slaves need masters to allow them to justify their own thefts and lies, all based in the illusions of uniforms and robes of a feigned authority bestowed upon them in the illusion of them thinking someone can actually do that. But then again, slave is as slave does, stupid is as stupid does. What people experience in the most literal sense is their 180-degree inner pole shift, because the legal name paper matrix gets ripped off and the veils drop. That is the only rip-off worth experiencing, though it leaves your world upside down compared to the former illusion you lived in and the current one that others live in and cling to for dear death, not life. The only way a slave can remain a slave is if the lies are convincing enough, bathed in the fear of survival illusion and lustful greed to satiate the animal, not soul, within. It's a simple matter of letting the parasite slaves know that they're thieves, liars, and parasites of the worst kind, where it'll be up to them to choose their path from there. There are only two paths where lies, theft, and murder and raping lead to damnation, along with the other lemmings swan diving off the highest cliffs, or the path of truth at all costs, which has your immortality attached. What may seem like an obvious choice is only obvious to those of a compassionate and truthful heart, where those trapped in the delusions of this matrix have reached the apex of their willful evil intent. So be it. Wishes granted according to the golden rule. No refunds, and finally, no more excuses. When a child keeps stealing cookies from the jar that was meant for all, including them, and continues to steal after promising never to do it again, the jar is finally removed from them forever. When they have stolen everything, who shall be left to create for them? Who will build their homes and feed them then? Only the slaves of illusion remain, and the true nature of the lies they've been living through become evident, as their last cookie is stolen from them as well. What did you expect from a parasite master? Fair share in creation? Only a fool and a slave who cannot accept that thieves, liars, and cheats, steal, lie, and cheat, will worship a master like that. So yes, slaves need masters, and masters need lies to keep the slaves as such. I accept that, and expect that. What the liars, thieves, and cheats don't get is that all true debts are now due, when the piper and the boatman expect full payment. Only truth guarantees safe and free passage, prepaid, where all we have to do is let go and let creation take its course. I fully accept that. Indeed, no surrender, after all. Kate.